If you could remember, I think about 3 months ago, after the Federal Executive Council, while we were doing the press briefing, I told the nation that we are not in a hurry to open our schools because of our concern for the health of our students and kids. And it is now 3 months, after which we have done a lot of thinking, looking, discussing, consultation, and so on. So the position I'm going to tell you today is a result of that long wait. Having taken that painful decision in the initial stages, government has not rested on its oars in the areas of consultation with stakeholders, putting together guidelines for opening of other schools, preparation required of all school owners and school proprietors to comply with. We have consulted widely with all stakeholders, including the Association of Private School Owners of Nigeria, National Association of Proprietors of Private Schools, provosts of colleges of education, rectors of polytechnics, vice chancellors of universities, state governors, our development partners, honorable commissioners of education in the states, and all relevant international organizations. And of course, our ears and eyes were open to the international media across the world to know what is happening in other lands, especially our neighbors. After these consultations, we developed detailed guidelines for opening of all learning institutions. At the beginning, we opened schools so that exit classes could go and prepare for and take their exams, and they have done that. I'm glad to report that in all our 104 unity schools, there has not been a single case of COVID-19 so far. And the isolated cases we have had in other schools are very small. It was a very great relief because actually I had a lot of fears, especially looking at some countries that opened and then had to close again. We didn't have to do that. It's gratifying to note that on the whole there has not been a single fatality among the existing students. We may also have noticed that the infection curve nationwide has flattened considerably. That is, if you compare it with the time I made the initial statement. In July 2021, I stated that we will not open schools until the infection curve flattens. The country was recording an average of 400 infections per day. Actually, that one is 400 infections of what we are able to test. Because I'm sure so many, especially in the rural areas, are going untested. By the end of July and August, the infection rate has peaked at an average of 700 cases daily. But since the beginning of September 2020, we have witnessed a considerable decline in the rate of infections, and the average is now about 200 cases a day. Consequently, with the level of preparations put to test and the flattening of the infection curve, we have come to the conclusion that we have to review our earlier decision, especially against the realization that COVID-19 is probably here to stay for a very long time, longer than we can afford to go without schools. After consultation with the Presidential Committee on COVID-19, we have decided that all our 104 unity schools should open on the 12th of October 2020. States and private owners will work out the modalities for the opening of schools under their purview. Gentlemen of the press, as we all work towards the opening of learning institutions nationwide, I strongly urge school owners to put in place systems that meet the following conditions. There should be procedures for self-distancing as much as possible and in as many situations as is practicable. Develop and display at schools simple context-specific reference protocols on day-to-day actions to be operated in each school. Conduct risk assessment with a view to understanding the gaps in the system that can increase the risk of transmission and make recommendations for addressing this. This should be ongoing. Anytime there is identified such issue, you report it and then we take appropriate action. There should be safety and hygiene in all stages and all phases of the school opening process. Something like self-distancing, frequent hand washing, use of face masks, and so on. There should be sensitization and monitoring procedures while all these are going on. And then we should ensure adequate water, sanitation, and hygiene facilities across all school premises. And as much as possible, we should encourage the use of open spaces for all gatherings and promoting activities to be outdoors. There should be regular temperature checks for all visitors coming into the school. We should establish a staff-student committee for regular surveillance, monitoring, and enforcement of all COVID guidelines. Let me warn that any school owner who does not comply with these guidelines and an outbreak occurs in the school due to negligence, they risk closure of their schools. Should be vigilant, strict, and rigid in the implementation of COVID-19 protocols for the safety of our children and ourselves and our teachers as we reopen schools. Nothing should be taken for granted. Let me use this opportunity to thank and appreciate Federal Ministry of Environment, PTF, the Presidential Task Force on COVID, and other stakeholders for the various roles they have played, which has brought us to this position today. And I wish safety and progress for schools all over the country, whether federal, state, private, and so on. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.